This is CityCast Twin Cities. I'm Sean McPherson, and here's what the cities are talking about. Denzel, what is your personal record for the amount of layers you've worn in cold weather?
Probably at least 8.
I had 7. Let's see if we get trumped by Anna. Anna, what is your record?
You're going to get trumped. I moved from Minnesota to San Francisco in the wintertime right after college, and I refused to check a bag. So I wore every single shirt that I owned, and I got so sweaty on the plane. And when my new roommates picked me up and met me for the first time, I fogged the inside of the car so poorly that I heard one say, "What's wrong with her?"
Always important to make a bad first impression. Well done, Anna.
Thanks.
Today, we're talking about the Twin Cities' evolving response to ICE raids. We're also connecting with an artist who is using an upcoming performance to support a great cause. And we're also going to hear from a celebrated Minnesota bassist who's going solo. And we're opening up that mailbag. And a quick heads up, not everybody inside the mailbag is really happy with our coverage.
Ooh.
Now, we all knew this was coming. For months, there's been prognostication from community leaders, from guys at the bar, from people who just saying ICE is coming to the Twin Cities at some point. At some point, the focus of ICE's activities are going to be right here in the Twin Cities. And it's arrived because nowadays, every day we read stories and publications about ICE, and frequently we're also just seeing photos on Reddit and elsewhere. And what we're learning is that how our neighbors are responding is various, and how our leaders are responding is various. It's people are responding to these in different ways. And a couple stories recently caught our eyes about ICE actions in the Twin Cities. Anna, can you kick us off with one that happened at a private university in Minneapolis?
Yeah, so this story was written by Emmy Martin of the Star Tribune, and over the weekend, federal immigration agents followed an Augsburg University student to a parking lot on campus and then attempted to detain that student in the parking lot.
Now, Anna, I'm curious, what was the reaction from the campus community when this was going down?
So a crowd formed, people started recording what was going on, more ICE agents came in, and things got really tense, really uncomfortable, and agents even pointed their guns at the crowd and were pushing witnesses back.
Now, of course, they were coming for a particular student. Mm-hmm. What happened to that student?
So the agents ultimately did take the student, and we're not sure what's going to happen next. But Augsburg University President Paul Pribenow is condemning the incident and saying that what happened was illegal on the part of ICE. So what they can do is make arrests in public spaces, but Augsburg isn't a public space. It's a private institution where agents can't enter or make arrests without a warrant. And so the ICE agents were asked by school officials to present the warrant, and they declined, saying they didn't have one. And the president now says that was illegal, to detain the student anyway without a warrant.
Okay, but if they already took the student, what good does it do to say that ICE's actions were illegal? I mean, what are the next steps that the university plans to take in this situation?
So, right, for this particular student, we don't yet know, as of the time of this recording, what's going to happen to them. But the president did meet with Senator Tina Smith about the incident and plans to review footage and other evidence from the incident with university attorneys to figure out whether any kind of formal complaint or legal action is possible.
I want to add something. It is, we can't change what happened to this particular student. And I don't want to minimize that, because there's a student who is probably not able to be connected with their community here, and perhaps not with their community at home as well. There is a new level when you are seeing a university president going, this is illegal. I took a quick Google image search of Paul Pribenow, and he is an older white dude wearing a bow tie, right? And he just looks like he is not the man I see on the front lines of ICE protests at this moment, which is, I'm not engaging with this man's individual politics, but he's of a group of people, both sort of career-wise, age-wise, bow tie-wise, race-wise, that we are not always seeing represented in going, this is illegal. And so there is a step. It shouldn't happen on one student's back, but there is a step when folks like this are stepping up that it might change the tenor going forward. Anna, Does this change how Augsburg will respond going forward if this does happen again on their campus?
Right. And it seems like that's like maybe one of the only things that they can do at this point is have systems in place for if this happens again. So they are taking steps to protect the rest of the students on campus. A couple examples are all their academic buildings are locked with key card access required. Students that don't feel safe going home are able to stay on campus through the holidays. You know, when I went to school, we had to go home during the holidays. So that was like a mandate. And faculty have been encouraged to offer flexibility in terms of like when coursework is due and attendance in their classes throughout the semester.
We got a whole ice sandwich, though, because we want to revisit an event that happened on November 25th in St. Paul. This was one of the most tense, and tense is an understatement. This is one of the most violent situations that we've had since ICE has really been a presence in the Twin Cities. In fact, there's a community group in St. Paul that's demanding accountability for the St. Paul Police Department's actions in an immigration raid that occurred on November 25th. So, Anna, can you bring us back to some of the events of November 25th?
Yeah, so to recap, ICE agents entered a house in the Payne-Phelan neighborhood on November 25th, and that's in St. Paul, and they were looking for a man that they had followed there, and a large group of neighbors formed around the house protesting the action.
Okay, so Sean said that the community group was demanding accountability from the St. Paul Police Department and not ICE itself. So what was the St. Paul Police Department's involvement with this?
So they arrived on the scene to do crowd control. They ended up using pepper spray, tear gas, and other less lethal projectiles. And then you probably remember this being all over the headlines, but 3 photojournalists on the scene said they believe the St. Paul Police Department targeted them as members of the media covering the protest. And an NPR photojournalist in particular was taken to a hospital in an ambulance after being hit with a less lethal projectile. When I was reading about this, I was just so worried for my team. I was so worried for all of us. We weren't there, but we could have been, you know, and I just like to see this happen to members of our professional community was really tough.
And real quick, Anna, as someone who works at NPR News and witnessing this go down with our photojournalists and everything, you felt this change in what we've been doing as we've been talking with other news outlets around. We've realized this is such a different experience than what we have witnessed really ever. Even back in 2020 with how volatile that coverage was and how we're trying to predict everything. This is just, we all are scratching our heads and we're all making new and stronger plans to sort of in reaction to this because we didn't know this would be something we'd have to react to.
I can't imagine what it was like. I mean, Denzel, you check the email, right, for NPR News, for anyone. Were the emails just like flooding in from supportive listeners and people with questions? Like, what was the community's response like?
I mean, the thing I remember most is not only did we sort of, our team get internally notified, other photojournalists were calling in, being like, hey, this happened to one of your people. We want to make sure that you know, because we're just not for sure how communication is working right now. Yeah. And it's really a moment where we saw the news community really sort of band together and being like, okay, we are looking out for each other. We're going to make sure the right people know. Our spouses being notified. What do they need?
Yeah.
So obviously, there's certain things that any community group is going to be looking for, actions from the St. Paul Police and from the St. Paul City Council that they haven't gotten yet. And we learned a lot from a story that actually came from NPR News today. And this organization, Communities United Against Police Brutality, are wishing the council members had already addressed this issue in a committee meeting by now. This is not like, you know, we got to name a holiday after somebody in August. This is something that should be happening promptly. But there is a meeting scheduled for today. The topic is not on the agenda. So the leader, or the president, I should say, of the Communities United Against Police Brutality said that the St. Paul Police Department violated its policies on interacting with First Amendment protected activities with the violence they committed against the photojournalists on the scene. And then also St. Paul Ward 5 City Council member Wah Jung Kim said that it's hard to believe that St. Paul Police Department would unload a tremendous amount of tear gas and start shooting indiscriminately. That is actually a quote. Cast a fog of tear gas and then start shooting indiscriminately, end quote. When they can see that cameras and press are present in the crowd. And City Council, again, has not addressed this in an official meeting yet, and it's not on the agenda for the meeting today, which is, frankly, just a head scratcher because they got to know that people are thinking about this.
Yeah, and I know I'm just wondering right now, what has the St. Paul Police Department said about their conduct? What is the most current verbiage that they're using about what happened?
They said they're working on a, quote, full review of the department's response, unquote, which includes reviewing body cam footage and footage from the public. And we're just going to have to see if anything comes from this review that we're told is happening.
Anna, whenever they use that language, they also say hundreds of hours of footage, which I feel like is a new soccer move, which is pre-kicking the can. Like they're like, it's so much stuff. The holidays are coming up. We're switching mayors. And I am just so nervous that they are hoping this thing is going to go away, which is wrong. It's amateur to think that in this environment, we're going to go, oh, yeah, I guess we never did figure out about that tear gas you used on, people who are just observing this process. Guys, you can't kick the can down this. I don't care that there's a new mayor. I don't care that the holidays are coming. You could get just a law firm to look into it, right? You don't have to do it in-house where it looks so sloppy. And if they think this one is going to get past the Twin Cities at this level of awareness of ICE, they are just fooling themselves. And I want to throw some underliner on the ICE situation in general. We got a listener who wrote us saying that the ICE situation scares the literal crap out of me. And so many people feel that way. We are going to share some advice about what you can do if you're in that situation. But I do have some advice for the city of St. Paul and the St. Paul Police Department. Do this one completely above board. Do it out of your own department and do it promptly, or it's just going to get worse.
And if you have hundreds of hours of body cam footage to review, have you heard of double time? Triple time? You can do that faster. I've done it with company trainings. You can really get through them pretty fast if you need to.
Okay, Anna, this is not like sexual harassment in the workplace.
Okay.
This is not like Ted was by the copier machine. This might be something I want them to just do at 1x, okay?
Single time. Okay, got it.
We do want to hear from you. What do you want to see the city of St. Paul do after this event on November 25th? Leave us a voicemail, 612-217-0637. You can also send us a text, and you could hear those comments coming up in a future mailbag segment. There's more to discuss. Before we do that, we're going to take a quick break. I am a gift-giving procrastinator, and that means I usually end up buying a bunch of gift cards at the last minute and feeling terrible about it. But I changed my ways this year, and I gave an Aura frame. In this day and age with digital photos, it is so hard to find something that really brings to life those photos in a special way. But that's where the Aura frame comes in. Think about your favorite photos and how much you wish they could be in a picture frame. That's what Aura does, and they have a lot of awesome reasons to use it. You can personalize that gift before you even send it out the door. Add that message so they know you care about them. You didn't just buy gift cards at the last minute. Plus, you get unlimited free photos and video. All you got to do is download the Aura app and connect it to Wi-Fi. Now, for a limited time, you can save on this spectacular gift by visiting auraframes.com. You get $35 off of Aura's best-selling Carver Mat frames. They were named #1 by Wirecutter. And you get that $35 off by using the promo code CityCast at checkout. That's auraframes.com and use the promo code CityCast. Now, this deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames do sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. And support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Right now, you're hearing a bit of Emmy Woods and her tune Million Miles Per Hour. Now, Woods hails from North Dakota, but she's based in the Twin Cities, and she's played with like everyone. She just got started on stages a couple years ago, but if you've got a stage, she's probably been on it. And I want to be honest, the music is excellent. The reviews are spectacular. And my best friend, Martin Devaney, who has played a couple times with Emmy Woods, brings Emmy up like about 5 times in the past couple months, talking about how great the music is and how great the vibes are. And a lot of folks who are in that situation don't think about their community. They're thinking about their star rising and focusing on that. But Emmy Woods is doing the opposite this weekend. And in fact, CityCast Twin Cities is getting in on the fun. We are teaming up with Emmy to amplify the winter clothing drive that she's doing at the 331 Club on Sunday. This warm winter clothing drive is in partnership with Southside Harm Reduction. They run a drop-in center year-round that has harm reduction supplies, naloxone, hot meals, and more. And this year they have a special need for warm clothes, specifically boots sizes 10 and larger, and jackets sized large and above. And Emmy, I am so glad that we can be a part of this. And thank you so much for making music and doing something special beyond just making music, but honestly doing things for your community.
Thank you so much. Gosh, you're making me blush a little over here with all the compliments. I appreciate it. The Minneapolis and the St. Paul communities mean so much to me. And it feels like an honor and a privilege to give back in any small way I can. So thank you guys for being a part of this and for helping signal boost.
Absolutely. Now, Emmy, I'm curious, what prompted you to use your event to bring support to Southside Harm Reduction?
Yeah, it all started a couple winters ago. I was just feeling honestly a little lost and a little hopeless with just the state of the world and looking for something small I could do. And I heard about Southside Harm Reduction's Winter Clothing Drive, and I had a show coming up, and I just thought, why not make something small a little bit bigger and invite other people to do something small? And that's how it started with the first one, just kind of inviting my friends and fans to, if they felt moved to, bring some warm clothing to be donated. And yeah, I've been doing it a couple years now, and it's been really rewarding, just that feeling of being able to do something, right? Things are tough right now for a lot of folks, but we can all, if we all do small things for each other and for our community, we can make things lighter and brighter. And so that's the spirit of the event.
As someone with very large feet, I feel called to donate because I know you're looking for sizes 10 and larger in shoes. Thank you for, asking for something that really applies to my life. I'm curious what you love about playing the 331 Club. I've played it once and I nearly fell off the stage, and that's about all I remember. What do you love about the 331?
The 331 Club has been with me and my band for a long time. It's honestly one of the first places I ever played a show with my full band. The band and I had met in a coffee shop called Mojo Coffee. I was playing a set and they happened to be there that day. And like a week later, they were playing at the 331 Club and they invited me to join them. And the rest is history. We've been playing there once a month ever since. So it's a huge part of my story as a musician. And it's certainly a community hub of sorts. Something I love about it is the shows are always free. So anytime you want to just like go out, catch some live music, be around good people, there's a place for you there. And so I'm a big fan.
Well, you're right, Emmy Woods. It's an iconic venue, and it is always free. But I will be giving out free stern looks to anyone who shows up on Sunday without an extra jacket or some boots or something warm. So again, just a free stern look from Sean McPherson, because this is an opportunity to come in, enjoy some great music from one of the rising stars in our scene, and also do something great for the Southside Harm Reduction organization, and get some people in warm clothes in a winter that's going to be historically cold. So the details are on our website, but we would really love to see you out there. Winter Clothing Drive with Emmy Woods on Sunday night over at the 331 Club. Emmy, thank you for letting CityCast Twin Cities be a part of this.
Thank you for being a part of it. And thanks for having me on the show today. See you Sunday.
Sean, our inbox has been bursting, full to the brim. So we are due to open up the mailbag and get an update. So why don't you kick us off?
We got one from a texter, and we did not get the texter's name, but this is somebody who is not happy with our coverage, and I really
did try to get the name. Let me tell you, I tried to get the name, okay?
Yes,
okay.
We did. But I really appreciate what this person said, so I want to read it verbatim and then respond. They said, I got up early today to squeeze in extra work because the grassroots nonprofit I fundraise for are all hanging on by a thread. For decades, nonprofits have picked up more and more of the slack as the government cuts back on education, food aid, mental health support, and so many other important things. Real jerk move to call us bloodsuckers, especially at a time like this. The billionaires are the problem, not the nonprofits. And if you're wondering, did somebody call nonprofits bloodsuckers? It's me. I call nonprofits bloodsuckers. And the reason I did is I was talking about asking nonprofits to voluntarily pay extra property taxes that they aren't legally required to. Bloodsuckers was a bit far, my friend. I agree with you. You wake up early to do hard work that you're probably underpaid for, and a podcast that you've come to trust calls your sector bloodsuckers. I wish I had chosen my words differently. I do think it's important to know that a lot of nonprofits are dogged about their bottom line, whether there's an owner or not. But I could have said it a lot more sensitively than bloodsuckers, and then the person on the other end of this conversation could have probably gone about their day with a little more feeling of being understood that they're working hard. So I want to say was it a step too far or maybe a leap too far to call nonprofits bloodsuckers? And so my friend who you texted us, I appreciate you and I apologize.
Oh, that's nice.
Wow. A white man apologizing. Early Christmas gift come true.
All right, this email came from Claudia, and this is what it said. I respectfully request that when you speak about the involvement of Somalis in the Feeding the Future fraud, you also include information about the executive director of that nonprofit. She was a white woman who took a cut of the payments that the providers received. Thank you, Claudia.
Claudia is right, and we really did leave Amy Bach absent from our coverage of that story. Claudia is right that Amy Bach is a white woman, and a cut of the payments makes it sound like it's some kind of reasonable thing. Like, this woman is in custody right now. She will be sentenced, and I just wanted to give a little background. She was the founder of Feeding Our Future. She was the ringleader. She was found guilty on all 7 counts of wire fraud and bribery in March of this year. And when I say a ringleader, again, this is not a small change. This alleged scheme may add up to over $250 million in fraud. So Amy Bach deserves to be mentioned, and for us to have skipped over that was an oversight. So thank you, Claudia.
And we got a text from Rich that reads, Hi, this is Rich in Egan. With all the scrutiny on our wonderful Somali community, please give a shout out to the Somali Museum. It is now located inside the same building as Midtown Global Market. Not only will you learn about the history of Somalia and of Somalis in Minnesota, they have their finger on the pulse of current Somali cultural events. Why not support the Somali community by finding out how you can participate in some Somali culture?
I got to give a shout out to Rich. He's kind of like the mailbag all-star at this point. We've gotten a couple notes from Rich, and they've all been awesome. So thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Rich, for texting me more than my own father does. No, he texts me all the time. Okay, so this email came from Pat, and it says, Adam and Tiffany, I work from home, but the ICE situation scares the literal crap out of me. I'm in the burbs surrounded by fellow privileged white people, although my grandparents on my dad's side were not citizens, but running from World War I. Okay. Is there somewhere to sign up for protests, etc.? Right now, I've got safety whistles in my Amazon cart for payday. That's so sweet. And I will donate them to the food shelves and take them to the few people I do know who will need them. Thanks, Pat.
Well, Pat, we appreciate you doing something with your fright and trying to think about ways you can help out. And I want to tip my hat to our producer, Tiffany Bowie, who added some valuable resources for Pat and others to follow and support during this time. That includes the Immigrant Defense Network, COPL, which is Communities Organizing Latin Power and Action, Monarca, and MIRAC, which is the Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee. And a lot of these organizations work together, so if you're following the grand majority of them, you'll know if a protest is being organized. And COPL and MIRAC also offer Know Your Rights trainings, and I should add that Monarca also offers observer training to learn how to observe if there is an ICE action happening in your area.
Now, Sean, we also want to give a shout out to our newest neighbor, and shockingly, as far as we know, she is not one of our mother-in-laws, which is
we
what
have not
most
checked
of
with Denzel. Denzel
Is Susan M. your mother, Denzel?
No, that is not my mother.
As far as you know. Okay, great. Well, Susan says, I want to get back to local news. I love to hear it, Susan. We are so glad to have you as our latest neighbor. You can join Susan in becoming a member by going to twincities.citycast.fm and clicking on membership. Thanks, Susan M.
You're hearing this brimming mailbag. It's because we do want to hear from you. Criticisms, compliments, suggestions, they're all welcome in the CityCast Twin Cities hotline. The phone number is 612-217-0637, and you might hear one of those comments in an upcoming episode. Got some more music to cover, but before we do that, we're going to take a quick break.
This episode is sponsored by Babbel. The idea of learning a new language can be scary. I felt overwhelmed by that. I bet you have too. I'm CityCast CEO David Plotz, and studies show that up to 90% of people trying to learn a new language give up. 90%. Fortunately, Babbel's built so that it's really easy to get started and really easy to stick with it. They understand that people learn differently. So maybe you can dive into a podcast on Babbel when you don't feel like a quick lesson, or you can speak out loud to get practice in, or you can explore courses based on specific topics and even create your own customized review lists, all within the Babbel app. Babbel has made learning a language all about small steps with real wins and progress you can actually track and feel. Bite-sized lessons that fit easily into your daily routine and are also easy to remember. Just 10 minutes a day is enough to start seeing real results. I've been learning Spanish with Babbel, and it's helped when I've traveled in Mexico, and it helps me eavesdrop on my son and my girlfriend when they speak Spanish to try to fool me. No más, mi corazón. However you learn best, by listening, speaking, reading, or writing, Babbel adapts to your style and keeps you motivated with personalized learning plans, real-time feedback, and progress tracking. And right now, here's a special limited time deal for CityCast listeners. Right now, get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/citycast. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/citycast. Spelled BABBEL.com/citycast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
It sucked to be the fourth in line bassist at the University of Minnesota, which is exactly what I was when I went to the U, maybe year 2000 to 2003. Let's see, we had Chris Morrissey, who now plays bass with Nora Jones. We had Kelly Nitz, who could read a dotted 16th note off of her shoelaces. And we had Liz Draper, the most inspired of the bunch by a mile, who had this amazing collaborative and selfless spirit that a lot of musicians who are 50 don't have. And Liz Draper somehow had it when she was 18 years old. In fact, I think she even went to college early, so she might have been like 17. She had that collaborative spirit that means that she was going to excel supporting other people's musical ideas. And excel she has. She has played with Iris DeMent, Charlie Parr, so many great artists. And perhaps most notably and most jealousy-inducing for me, she was the final bassist in Low. Liz Draper, as you know, I'm talking right to you. You are spectacular, and I've been saying that for decades now. But Liz has taken this new step. A lot of great collaborators can also be great performers and leaders, and that's exactly what Liz is doing on this new album, Menno. And let's have Liz get us into a tune that she wrote in tribute to Mimi Parker, the drummer, vocalist, and heartbeat of that legendary group Low.
Hey, Twin Cities, bassist Liz Draper here. You may have seen me around town performing with Charlie Parr or Low, maybe Iris DeMent or Pieta Brown, maybe the Okie Dokie Brothers, or way back in the day with Black Blondie. I'm honored to share with you the song Prayer for Mim in the Color Marigold off my very first ever debut solo album. I wrote this song in memory of my dear friend and bandmate Mimi Parker. Music has always been a means for me to process grief and to process change, a way to sit with a feeling and build an altar for memories. Thanks for listening.
Liz, you sound wonderful as per usual, and sending love to you and everyone on planet Earth who still misses Mimi, myself very much included. Liz celebrates this new album, Menno, with a show on Sunday at the Ivy Building in South Minneapolis, and the food comes from Paul Perez of Unidos Food Company. Congratulations to Liz on this release, and we should mention that in this male-centric world and the male-centric music world, Liz is even in a particularly male-centric corner in the rhythm section. But this whole album that Liz put together is involving women, from the recording to the design, to the mastering, to the label. So I want to give a shout out to Liz, Ava, Marie, Sarah, and Leatrice. And again, good luck at the release show on Sunday, Liz. And of course, if you want to be talking about your music, sharing your music, and be a part of CityCast, we'd love for you to submit some of that music. And you can do that at twincities.citycast.fm in our announcements section. There is nothing more important to me than celebrating new music coming out of the Twin Cities. And we'd love for you to be involved. Again, go to twincities.citycast.fm and look at our announcements. That's all for today here on CityCast Twin Cities. I'm your host, Sean McPherson. Denzel, Belin, Anna Weggel, and Emmy Woods, thank you for being here today. You can get more news delivered right to your inbox by subscribing to the CityCast Twin Cities newsletter. And if you enjoyed today's show, why not share this podcast with the fifth best bass player at the University of Minnesota at the turn of the century? We'll see you back here tomorrow for more news from around the city.